Welcome to the world of knowledge. This is me, Nivartha, here to help you with your competitive exam cracker. The first question in psychology is: a child begins to regulate his behavior without external rewards, without his external reward. This indicates conditioning, reinforcement, internalization, trial and error. Which theory it is? It is internalization. We already discussed this about in the previous videos, right? Second question: when a teacher links new content with students' prior knowledge, it supports, like when the prior knowledge new content is introduced, what it supports? It supports a rote learning, meaningful learning, mechanical learning, or drill method. It supports a meaningful learning. Third question: development proceeds from head to toe. This principle is known as proximodistal, sequential, cephalocaudal, or continuous. It is option C, cephalocaudal. So, what do you mean by cephalocaudal? It describes a pattern of growth and development. In which stage, particularly in the infant stage, it is developed, and that from head to toe. That is what it describes about. That is, cephalo means head, and the caudal means the tail or the feet or toe, which means sometimes the head grows faster than the body in some of the babies, right? So that principle of applying both physical growth and motor skills, it is the main concept in this cephalocaudal. That is why it is mentioned from head to toe as cephalocaudal. So option C is the right answer. Fourth question: a learner suddenly solves a problem after a period of thinking. This is trial and error, conditioning, insight learning, imitation. It is suddenly solves the problem after a period of thinking. It is insight learning. Which statement best reflect the nature of development? Same for all children, only biological, influenced by heredity and environment, stops after childhood. This question also we already discussed. It is influenced by the heredity and environment. A child learns language faster in a rich social environment. This shows the role of maturation, reinforcement, environment, intelligence. It is the environment factors. Punishment may temporarily stop behavior but does not ensure learning because it builds motivation, creates fear, encourages understanding, ensures retention. It creates fear. Always the punishment makes us very fear, right? That is. Learning without obvious reinforcement was highlighted by Skinner, Tolman, Pavlov, Thorndike. It is without obvious reinforcement is Tolman. You already know about Skinner, Pavlov, Thorndike. So these all will not be related to these persons. So obviously, you can relate to Tolman. Teacher who respect individual differences should teach all students identically, ignore slow learners, use flexible teaching strategies, focus only on bright students. Always a good teacher should be using flexible teaching strategies. Intelligence tests mainly aim to measure knowledge gained, past achievement, potential ability, interest level. Intelligence is always a potential ability of a child. Emotional development helps learners mainly to improve memory, control impulses, increase height, gain marks. Emotional development helps control impulses. Learning by association of stimulus and response is operant conditioning, insight learning, classical conditioning, observational learning. It is stimulus and responses, post conditioning, classical conditioning. Who put forward the term classical conditioning? Classical conditioning is by Pavlov, operant conditioning is by Skinner, insight learning is Scholar. Observational learning is by Albert Bandura. Hope you are clear with these terms. 13th question. A child imitates a teacher's behavior without reinforcement. This is conditioning, observational learning, trial and error, drill method. Which method is that? It is observational learning. Child is observing the teacher regularly and imitating the character. 14th question. Which principle of development explains that growth follows a fixed order? Individual difference, continuity, sequence, integration. It is sequence. Adolescents often show emotional instability, mainly due to poor teaching, cognitive overload, hormonal changes, lack of discipline. Why is that adolescents always showing some of the emotional stability? We too have that, right? It is because of the hormonal changes. Learning that involves understanding relationships is called root learning, mechanical learning, insight learning, conditioning. It is insight learning. Which factor has the least influence on development? Heredity, environment, nutrition, punishment. Punishment is having the least influence on development. A teacher encouraging self learning is promoting dependency, passive learning, autonomy, memorization. Self learning is autonomy. Autonomy in the itself is a self learning. Growth differs from development because growth is a qualitative, continuous, quantitative, psychological. Growth differs from development because it is growth is a quantitative method. The last question is the most effective way to handle learning difficulties is comparison, repetition only, remedial teaching, punishment. If we compare with others, the child will not study. If we repeat, the child will get bored. If we give punishment, the fear will happen. So, the best method is remedial teaching, choosing their best method. Hope out of 20, you would have scored 20. If yes, please comment below. If it is useful, please like my video. With that, this is me, Nivartha, signing off. Thank you and have a great day.